I am high. Now, before you panic and start saying, Survivorman's promoting drugs, I had a colonoscopy this morning. So in fact, I'm promoting good health. Cancer prevention, preventative medicine, if you will. For those of you who are afraid of it, you should not be. The chances of complications are about 1 in 4 to 5,000. And the fact is that with a colonoscopy, you are discovering things inside your intestines that could lead to cancer or are cancerous, and you're discovering them hopefully ahead of time with a chance to fix them, because colon cancer is an awful thing. So yes, had a colonoscopy this morning, and as part of the procedure, they gave me ketamine. That was pretty awesome. And so I thought, well, I'm still feeling the effects of the ketamine. What better time than now to do a director's commentary? So, let's get into it. Maybe it's like a truth serum, and I'll reveal some secrets of Survivorman. No, don't get your hopes up. I've already revealed everything there is to know. This is part 2 of Romania, and I just did the director's commentary for part 1. It's part 2, where I'm now partway in my journey. I'm enacting out the situation of being a lost hiker in Romania in the mountains. And if you haven't seen part 1, go back and check it out, director's commentary. And you can always watch these on the playlist. Just search it on the playlist for Survivorman Romania, parts 1 and 2, if you want to watch this without me interrupting. But for now, high as a kite on ketamine, I'm going to interrupt.
In the Fugareș Mountains of Romania. After a grueling day on the mountaintops, I finally made it down to the forest's edge, only to go too far downhill, forcing me to climb straight back uphill in many hours. There's been plenty of water to drink, but little food to eat. And even following old logging roads has not yet led me to safety. But now I begin anew. I'll start fresh and force myself into a set of circumstances that should, in most cases, make survival nearly impossible. What happens if you can't even walk? How do you survive being medically stranded? And how do you signal anyone that might be searching for you?
So what I'm doing today is trying to grab a satellite signal where I can. Couldn't get any signal over the last at least 24, 36, 48 hours, something like that. No signal at all. I've also turned on my GPS satellite tracker, and with any luck at all, it'll be received, and they'll come and get me.
Or maybe I won't comment much at all, because I'm just zoning out watching this, I got to say. I never realized how much of Barry Farrell's editing really suited my current state of lucidity. But what I will say is, when it comes to the GPS tracker situation, so this is the second time I was going to do a search and rescue episode, and I really wanted to do that. I mean, I love search and rescue. I'm a volunteer myself. You should be a volunteer as well. And even if you aren't fit to push through the bush, you can man the radios in the trucks on the hilltops. All sorts of opportunities in search and rescue to volunteer. So I love highlighting the wonderful volunteers around the world and the skilled, very skilled individuals in search and rescue. So for this, and I had to argue with the search and rescue chief, because he wanted to know exactly where I was going to be. And I was like, I don't want you to know. This has to be very real for your team. Now, of course, the team, they knew this was going to, they were going to be involved in this. They even knew who I was, because Survivorman aired over in Romania. But I could not have them know where I was going to be. What's the point then? This has to be a real exercise for them. So then, in keeping with that, I took probably the InReach or the GPS Garmin, one of those, and I set it so that it would shoot out the signal to say, okay, I'm lost now. But I was having a lot of problems seeing the signal leaving the device. It just, the satellite phone never worked. Nothing. I had 4 pieces of electronic equipment, and none of them worked. But I think eventually it was the actual GPS unit that finally got a ping out to say, okay, I'm lost now. And then I believe what we were going to do was the location would would be known to the chief, but he promised us that would not be information that would be passed along to his teams. He wanted his teams to have a real exercise as well. Here we go.
I think that because people know that I know all these different earth skills, primitive skills, bushcraft, survival skills, that I might be opposed to the high tech, but I am not opposed to the high tech. It can save a life. They take a lot of the guesswork out of finding you if you're in trouble.
True story. Very much a true story. Do not fear the high tech. I mean, we can be all romantic and rugged bushmen and women all we want. We can be bush hippies, but you know what? The high tech can save your life. So yeah, I mean, look, when I go camping, if you came camping with me, I got the best of everything. Oh, absolutely. I want to be comfortable out there. So something to note, that you can love the wilderness and be part of it and still utilize the high-tech new inventions for your own safety.
All right, I think I'm going to change up the circumstances a little bit here. I am, or have been, essentially lost, and I've ended up in an area that I hadn't expected to even go to, and I know I'm on an active road. That's a bonus. I know it's going downhill. That counts. But where it actually goes, who knows? The tracking has been sent out, so how long it takes for these messages to get through, I'm not really certain. But I think what I'm going to do is get off the road and see if I can create a survival situation, or rather, I guess, a search and rescue situation that's not so cut and dried, but at least it's a little bit more complicated. I won't go far, just enough so that I'm not walking down a dirt road and easily found. Give him a little bit more of a test.
Now I see why so many college guys used to host Survivorman parties. They would even do, they would have shot games where it'd be like, okay, every time he says sustenance, you got to take a shot. Or they would partake and watch Survivorman. Not that I'm condoning any of that, but now I get why they did it. Because this is kind of fun to watch.
If I were being just a bit curious about things, I might decide to climb up in here. Actually, it looks like there's an area up here. It looks like there's a clearing, like it goes somewhere. So why not be curious? And I'll take myself up there. But because I'm leaving the road, what I can do is take the bandana that came in my survival kit, and I purposely made sure that they were orange. For this reason is now I'm gonna tie this bandana here, just at the edge of the road, in a fairly obvious spot. Anybody coming by is going to spot that, no doubt. And if they're looking for me, then, well, that's the idea.
So that's key. You know, if you're going to leave an established trail or road or, you know, known area and just go into the bush, you must mark your trail. Certainly in terms of if you want to be rescued, you want to mark the trail. And that's, you know, you just do it. And sometimes you do it right at the entrance to when you're going to go into the bush. You can blaze all along from there, which is also very helpful if possible, if you have an axe or a hatchet or something like that, machete. But at least marking the entrance to when you say, okay, I'm leaving the road and going this way. And why would somebody do that? Because maybe they realize the road's going the wrong way. And they're very confident that if they go east, they will actually get to a better road and walk out. Who knows why? Sometimes people, that's the crazy thing about survival and the actual lost victims, they have often talked about the things they've done and usually why, and they didn't even know why. They've been in the bush and they come out to a road. This is true, this happens. Come out to a road, but get up and walk over the road and keep on going into the bush without checking out the road. That is a strange phenomenon, but your mind is not right when you're in a lost situation. And certainly if you've gone a number of days without food. Come to think of it, I did, because I had to go out all yesterday without food. And I had to drink that 4 liters of what they call peg light. Yeah, that was a fun evening last night. Well, I'm eating now and it feels good.
Okay, so just on the spot in this tree here, what I'm going to do is take my GPS satellite tracker and strap it to the tree here, because I'm going to head further on up the hill, but this will be strapped here, hopefully sending out the signal, leading anybody who's looking for me right to this spot. All right, it's still flashing as being on, so the batteries are still good. It's better I put that in a spot that can reach the biggest sky possible than having it in my pocket or strapped to my arm.
You know, I gotta give a shout out. I don't do this enough to the musicians involved with the Survivorman series. Ian Auger and Brian Potvin and Richard Jackson and George Catapan, Peter Cleach. These guys just did killer tracks over the years. And some of my tracks got on there as well. And of course I did the theme music always. But you know, I highly recommend that if you're into filmmaking and you're into doing nature films and stuff, don't, here's my rant on this, don't use padded music. Don't do it. Use a real musician's music. Befriend a real musician who's who's a hard worker and wants to do stuff and is talented and so on. Like, find those people. Same thing, and I've often said, never edit your own footage. You work with a great editor. These are big things in filmmaking. And the music for me, of course, producing this series and being a musician myself, the music was always going to be really important to me. And I stated right from the beginning, if any editor wanted to use padded music, I'd say, nope, it's got to be real written music. Which is a nice segue to say, don't forget, guys, go over and subscribe onto my Les Stroud Music YouTube channel. I'm releasing a brand new song every 6 weeks for 3 years. And each week I'm releasing different versions of that song, live concert performances, collaborations, lyric videos, and so on. Yeah, 2024 is a big year for me musically, not with any agenda, no grand illusions. I just want to get all of my music out there. And guess what? All of that music, just like Survivorman or Beyond Survival or even Survivorman Bigfoot, is really all about connecting you to nature. So a lot of the lyrics I write and the songs that I write, the Mother Earth album, for example, it's all about connecting you to nature. So, and follow me on Bands in Town, because the tours will be starting and I might be in your neighborhood. I digress, but lovingly so on my music. Let's get back to Romania.
All right. Now, something I can do right off the bat for starters is be diligent about marking my trail on the way in. And then hopefully, if someone is searching for me up in this area, they'll see the markings and they'll keep looking, going on farther. And I think to start it, there's something I can use that is in the survival kit that'll work really well. It's the orange garbage bag. Now, it's big and it's really good for a roof. It's good for rain gear, all sorts of things, but it's also really good for marking a trail. I can take some strips from the top and not defeat its purpose of being a raincoat or a roof for a shelter. So,
why an orange garbage bag? Obviously, the orange is an obvious one. The color is bright and can be spotted. But you can get them quite large. And the thing is, the reason why that, say, instead of a particular tarp, it's the weight. They're really light. So orange garbage bags are nice and light. They're effective shelters and rain covers. So and because they're so light and they fold down small, they fit in a survival kit really well. That's why an orange garbage bag, large size, is still a great survival kit item.
So let's take a little piece of this. All right. First use of the garbage bag. Mark a trail.
That, you know, let's go back a little bit there, Luke. Let me go back just a bit. Pause. There we go. All right. That's a bit overkill. Depending. If you've got lots of flagging material, then that's what you should be doing, something like that. So let's do a little rundown on it. You want to have it somewhere around eye level. Bear in mind if the snow is building up and so on. But around eye level, not up too high, not down too low. When you can have it like that, loose and flappy, that's great because it flaps in the wind and it brings attention to itself and you can spot it. So the around the tree thing is fine, but you know, the around the tree and then tight and then small, not so good. Eventually they age and they pop off, but the ones that are loose like that and flapping in the wind, they're easier to notice. So in many ways, when it comes to marking your trail, short of using up all of your caloric energy, you can't go overkill. You want to be found.
Another opportunity to make a marking. Even if all I have is a neck knife, I can still make a blaze in a tree here. It's not the same as having a hatchet or an axe, but it definitely will show up as being done by a human, hopefully we'll catch the eye of somebody and go, hey, up that way.
Any search and rescue team looking for me will have only an idea of where I am based on the tracking device. So all of these markings can make a difference of being found or not.
Oh, right. I got to backpedal a little bit here. Right. That was the point of the tracking device, was that the search and rescue should be able to zero in on it. And this was an opportunity. This is why I love doing search and rescue ones. I remember, well, this isn't the second one. This is the third one because I did the other search and rescue in the Sierra Nevadas, I remember now. What I love about the search and rescue version of the survival experience is the chance to test out equipment. And this is what I was doing here. I was like, let's test out this whole tracking device. Let's just see how well it works. And in this case, let's do something like that. Okay, I'm going to put it on a tree, but then I'm going to travel away from a bit from the tree. So that was the opportunity here, was to, once again, testing out survival equipment. And for you, test out your survival gear on your camping trips. All the time. Test it out. It's snowing outside. It was like 10 degrees Celsius today, and now it's going to drop to minus 10 or 20. But I digress.
I think this might do, actually. Do for what, you might ask? Well, I'll tell you in a second.
Being able-bodied in a survival ordeal is one thing. Being immobile or medically stranded is something else altogether. You can't run out when people call for you. You can't quickly light a signal fire for airplanes. You're stuck, and you have to hope someone walks straight to where you are if you expect to survive.
It occurred to me that yesterday, when I made the mistake of going down the hill and then eventually coming to the cliffs and having to climb back up, any one of those thousands of steps, and I could have twisted an ankle, broken ankle, slipped, broken a leg. It could be as simple as having a minor heart attack from the exertion or an appendicitis attack. So what I'm going to do is set myself up so that I'm completely immobile.
And I was kind of looking forward to doing this because it had been a while. I only ever did it twice throughout the Survivorman series. And you remember the other one? That was at the plane crash with the broken arm. In fact, Luke, show a couple of little clips from the plane crash episode.
It's quite a bit of a makeshift sling here. But if it works, it works.
So you see there, it's going to be the same thing here. I mean, obviously I'm not actually injured, but I still wanted to simulate, to the best of my ability, having an injury. I found this really hard to do. In the plane crash episode, I gave up. I was like, you know what? I'm going to give up on this now. Like, I remember I was chopping that hole in the ice, and try chopping a hole in the ice with only one arm, only one good arm. We're talking ice that was 2 feet thick. And so here I thought, well, can I do something where at least I can, with the arm you can move around, but what if you can't move around at all? What then? Knowing that I had hopefully search and rescue guys coming out for me. And by the way, I won't ever know that they're on their way. I don't know if they're getting the signal or not. I'm hoping that they are. But can I do something where I would be stuck in one spot? And then I thought, well, now what does that mean for survival? If you can't move much more than 20 feet, how does that change your survival? And we're about to find out.
In this case, it's not so much about being lost. It's a lot more about being medically stranded. So my situation now is I'm going to set myself up to be medically stranded right here. What does that mean? What do I do with my gear? How do I stay warm tonight? Can I get a fire going? How do I get to water? Can I get to any water? So I'm going to be stuck here. And then we'll see how search and rescue deals with that. Now, I've left clues for them, tied the bandana on the side of the road, and put the GPS satellite unit up, sending out its signal. So with any luck at all, they'd be able to come into here, see that, and then start exploring.
I want to point something out here. Notice how confident I am right now. The reason for that is I'm settling down. I'm not climbing down a cliff, or I'm not doing anything too dangerous. I'm just settled down in one place. The bush there is very familiar to me. It's very much like North America. I'm comfortable. Now, I'm pretty darn hungry, but I can see it and hear it now. The difference between my confidence and the sound of my voice here and the director's commentary I just did on episode 1 when I was going of Romania, when I was going down the mountainside, is night and day. And this has been an interesting thing for me to see throughout watching these varying Survivorman's episodes and doing commentaries on them, is seeing my own emotions and recognizing myself and seeing how nervous I am or exhausted I am or defeated I am. I can pick up on it. I can recognize it. And this is a moment of, well, I'm just going to sit still for a while. This is actually kind of nice. And obviously the temperatures are great. People always ask me, what's the hardest place to survive? And I always answer, it's not about location. It's all about temperature. If it's cold, it's hard. Always if it's cold. That's the ticket there. If it's going to be like this, probably 20 degrees Celsius, you got time. You got forgiveness time. And so beautiful weather like that, familiar forestry, relaxing, not moving, I'm pretty calm and confident there.
See if they can find me. In the meantime, I now have to deal with a broken leg. This is Salvamont, one of the most successful search and rescue teams on the planet.
The mountains are very rugged, and it's quite a challenge to be a mountain rescuer here. It's quite a challenge to trek here. We have about 50 mountain rescuers. In the last week, we had one fatal accident and another one very serious. We stick together, and we are very proud to be part of Argeș Mountain Rescue.
So what he said there,
GPS tracking units I have.
what he said there was Argeș Mountain Rescue. Yeah, that guy was super cool. All of these guys were I mean, they were top level. They're search and rescues in scenery like you can see right there. So you've got to be on your game. But again, that doesn't mean that there aren't necessary volunteers who might not have that skill set or that physicality. We need you to man the radios. We need you to look after the crew, to be part of it. Yeah, I can never speak highly enough for my admiration for search and rescue volunteers. Try becoming one. You will not, if you like the wilderness, you like adventure, volunteer for search and rescue.
Successful in getting a signal with a short text message out to Salvamont. But this first message I sent did not do more than say I was out and lost and where I started from. So the SAR team has their work cut out for them if they're to find me in this mountain terrain.
We have a lost person, 53 years old.
So I don't know if you caught that, but the original text out really only pointed them to where I started the hike. So just like a hiker would. Hey, I'm starting today, you know, and the message got out that way. I think after that, the tracking that I put on was when I hung it in the tree to hopefully bring them, and I'm a number of 100 yards away from that now. But hopefully we'll bring them closer in, but we'll see what happens here.
Old, average mountain experience. He said that he pointed east for a few hours, but he doesn't remember how many hours. So he decided to continue still east, and he lost his way.
You know, this is a good time to take a little break here. So, Luke, why don't you show everybody my search and rescue pitch? Check this out, guys. This is what I'm working on to make happen.
Our subject that we're looking for is a white male adult. Hair is light brown, eyes are hazel. He's going to spend a day up and down Willow Creek and was supposed to come out this morning. He didn't show up.
More than 40,000 searches for lost victims are conducted each year. And that's in the United States alone. Hundreds of thousands of people are lost in the wilderness every single year throughout the world. Cell phones and GPS units haven't changed a thing. Mushroom hunters, hikers, fugitives, skiers, backpackers, campers, all lost, vanished, leaving behind clues to decipher.
Billy found a piece of crumpled up paper. These whole searches is just like a big puzzle.
And every year, thousands of highly skilled trackers search for them. Framed as the world's greatest survivalist, Les Stroud is a search and rescue instructor, consultant and active searcher. He has found people alive and dead.
Confirmed. Confirmed locate.
Stroud is privately sought out around the world by families who haven't given up hope, even when the local authorities have. This is not reality TV. This is reality. And Les Stroud, Survivorman himself, brings you deep into the wilderness on the hunt for lost souls.
Jesse!
From Romania to the United States, to Canada, to the jungles, deserts, oceans, and mountains around the world. Search and Rescue doesn't need to manufacture any drama. We simply bring you along for the search. Be a part of Search and Rescue.
So pretty intense stuff. I myself have been on missions. So fortunate to be part of an amazing team of 5. It's a long story, but in the end, we found a 70-year-old gentleman who'd been lost for almost, I think it was 18 days, no food, no water. He'd got little tiny bits of water, and we found him alive, and he's alive to this day. And he sings our praises. He's a cool dude, but that was mind-blowing. When you rescue somebody in a search and rescue mission, it changes your life because you realize you just saved theirs. I also was with a team. We were searching for someone potentially dead, and sure enough, and it was me who found him with my snow probe, avalanche snow probe. And it was funny because I had a strange instinct about, I just want to look over. Went over to the spot and looked, and sure enough, he was about 3-4 feet down, underneath 3 or 4 feet of snow. Found that gentleman, and I've been on other missions where we found individuals passed as well. But it's a powerful experience.
This is day 1 for Salvamont, one of the most experienced and successful search and rescue teams on the planet. But then they have to be, for this is some of the most rugged hiking on the planet. And I'm somewhere down in the middle of it all. All they have to go on is where I started from, many miles uphill, and a few days ago from where I am now. This type of terrain demands that most of the search is carried out on foot.
Am avut recepție. Am început urcă.
Now notice that all of these volunteers have hiking poles. Being in Romania and hiking these mountains and working with these individuals changed my life when it comes to my hiking, based simply on that one added element, the use of a hiking pole. And when you're young, I don't need a hiking pole, that's for old people. Nuh-uh. These guys are young. Some of them are in their young 20s, okay? Fit, rock stars, okay? The thing is that with hiking poles, you actually are 10% stronger, especially going uphill. They're also great for stability going downhill. Now, in hiking and backpacking and all the time, I use poles, and it's revolutionized the way I hike. So I highly recommend you get yourself a set of poles. You won't like them the first time. You might not like them the second time. By the 4th or 5th time, you're addicted to them. They're amazing. So trust me on that one. Get yourself a good set of hiking poles, and you will see eventually that you will fall in love with them, and then you'll start to feel naked without them. But these guys were the ones who convinced me, man. 10% faster, 10% stronger. Got to use the hiking poles. And these guys are as fit as anyone I've ever met. So there you go.
Care am pâinile patinului.
All right, so to move forward from here, whatever's wrong with my leg, and I'll make it my left leg, I'm completely immobile. I can't continue on. I can't get up and walk out or hop out or climb out or slide out. I'm stuck. So that being the case, what do I do next? You got to know that were that to happen for real, that I'd be spending a couple of hours or a few hours breathing in agony and just getting over that, laying still. So I've actually allowed some of the day to go by so that I've killed some time. So for starters, I've got this. I need another similar length pole or stick. All right, so now I have the other side of my splint, my walking stick. If I can get those looped in together, that will lock this leg in a position that will protect it perhaps from bending and causing excruciating pain. There's a little bit of padding because I'm going to tie around that spot. Next thing, this guy here, tie this off here, whereabouts I'm going to need the padding. Now,
this is obviously going to speak to the concept of knowing wilderness first aid. I don't really speak very often on that. Bottom line is, learn it. Get a ton of certificates. Know it. Training in wilderness first aid is as essential to going on a canoe trip as knowing how to use a paddle. If you're going out in the wilderness on adventures, you should know wilderness first aid. This is vital. Take a course, and you will never regret that skill set.
I've got some rope in my own survival kit, and then I also have...
Because like I always say, you want to be an asset, not a liability.
The rope that came with this little mini bracelet type survival kit. Some of the survival items are coming through here. Okay, that's a good piece of very good thick rope.
Now Barry made that look really fast, taking that apart. But again, one of my complaints and pet peeves about the braided survival kits is they take forever to undo. You're supposed to be, oh, just pull the one side. Nah, it's never worked for me yet where you can just pull one string and it comes apart. It takes forever. That's not good.
And there's a secondary one right here. I'll probably just use this one right now. All right, that's one. I'll start tying this rope up while it's still long, so I'll only cut it as short as I need it to be. You kind of get the idea here. Lift it up. See that? So that's just to help so I don't catch my foot. Maybe I'm going down the hill, sliding my bum or something, and then this will help protect it, keep it immobilized a bit so that it protects the knee.
For the most part, the rescue team is confined to the high altitudes where I started. They have to start at the beginning of my journey, since they do not yet have any information from my GPS unit about my current location.
In seeing this footage, I don't even know where they were. I haven't got a clue. Certainly not a cabin that I went by when I was on my travels there. So, wow. It's really blizzarding outside right now. I'm going to show you this. Check this out. Cool. Am I back? I'm back there. Yeah, that's blowing like crazy. That's great. I love a storm. Actually got a winter thunderstorm yesterday morning. So thunder and lightning in February. Always cool. I've seen that, experienced that before, and then it be snowing at the same time. Yesterday it was thunder and lightning and then pouring rain.
On average, 30 to 40 people are lost here every year, mostly because they don't pay attention to the falling dark and don't have a flashlight with them. So they find themselves in the dark, in an unknown environment, and usually they get scared. In the fog, even if they see the markings, they're afraid to continue and prefer to send out a signal for rescue.
I want to do my zone of assessment now. I have to do it all over again. The reason for this is when I had done it before and I knew what I had, that was based on the fact that I was walking a road, I was traveling. But now this is a whole new set of circumstances. I need to go through my gear and say, okay, what have I got now? What can I make use of? What's going to make me more comfortable and help me get through this night? And hopefully not many more after that. Candle.
At this point, by the way, I have no idea how long it's going to take them to find me. As a film producer and as Survivorman, part of me is hoping that it's going to be hard for them to find me. And I had learned by this time that I remember in Sierra Nevada and in Ontario, they were very fast at finding me. And it's like, I got to make this tougher. And, well, we'll see what happens.
Compass, well, that's not going to
be needed now.
By the way, that's another aspect of volunteering that's so much fun. Often when the dogs need training, they need people to go out and just, get this, you need to go out into a remote area and just sit and hang out all day and wait for the dogs to find you. It's one of the most fun parts of training. So I always volunteer for that when I can. And I'll go out and I'll just be hanging out in the forest, sitting still, doing nothing, and staying quiet and wait for the dog search and rescue, the canine team, to find me. And of course, the dogs are adorable, so it's pretty cool. So there's so much involved with search and rescue. I could go on forever on that.
My matches, good. I guess lastly it's just the, oh no, one more. Signal mirror. When they come looking for me, I can try to reflect some light. That might do the job right there. Actually, the last thing I've got, this cook kit. Now it's got the water in it, but I'll drink that down. And the orange garbage bag. What's next is I should try right now to get some firewood. I'm going to make an assumption that I'm so mobile I can't even stand up and walk. So I'm literally going to gather every stick, every twig that's just close at hand. That's my only option.
On one hand, you'd think there would be nothing to grab in the close vicinity. On the other hand, it's surprising just how much raw material is available close at hand.
I just realized something. Moving stuff around for the sake of collecting the water, I seem to have lost my whistle. That is not good. If I hear someone calling for me, how do I signal them? Well, I suppose if I don't find that whistle, actually I've got two ways. One, I've got a good, solid, human-made whistle. Or I've got this. We'll call this the broken leg blues.
Did you know that that's actually called a live performance for television royalties? And I make like $1.30 every time that airs somewhere on television for that little harmonica sting. Just saying.
It can take him between 2 hours to 2 to 3 days maximum to find lost victims. But Salvamont's record is spotless. No fatalities other than those who have fallen and died on impact. Like so many SAR teams around the world, these men and women take great pride in their responsibility of saving lives. Any lack of success is met with great disappointment. I'm close to the border of Transylvania in Romania, a hiker's paradise and a rich land of peaks and valleys where I've stranded myself with a broken leg on purpose to test out some of the most experienced search and rescue people in the world, Salvamont. And they're searching high and low on foot, too many miles away from my current camp. A lost victim out here could be anywhere. Could simply be behind a rock, unconscious even. So every square foot of land has to be checked.
There are places where we'll do a search and rescue mission where you could literally walk past a body laying on the ground and not see it. And sometimes the forest just gets so insanely thick. I just came off of a mission about a month or so ago, and the California oak was so thick, in small bush form, was so thick that I was literally body surfing over top of it because I could not get my foot down to the ground. So I was body surfing on my belly, like trying to do a search through the forest on my belly. It can just be insane. But you're trying to search every foot because someone else could have got in there and they could have, and they could be they could have perished. Now they might even still be alive, right? So you're looking in every crevice, every hole. It's tricky. It's a tough job.
I had to tie and retie this splint a half a dozen times, but it is working. It's working fairly well. I'm pretty sure that search and rescue's been deployed and is out there looking for me, but they're looking for me in the first areas where I started, not in this area. They shouldn't get this information probably for another day. In the meantime, I'll see if I can get a little fire going.
You know, I'm referencing the fact that the GPS unit is sending out a signal saying, okay, I'm here now, but they wouldn't have got it yet.
The way to get kindling is just to make it.
True, good way to get kindling is just to make it, but it's also extra energy and calories burned.
What I'll do is I'll take that fuel. This would probably work really well if I had ethanol or something like that, but all I had was the rum, and it wouldn't hold the flame. So instead, I'll just steal the rum out of it, and this way, use just the spark. And hopefully it will work. Whew, look at that.
Now that's an item to get good at. As I mentioned in the last director's commentary, take next summer and only allow yourself to use the flint and striker to light all of your fires, your campfires, your brush burning fires, any fire outside that you're going to light. Only use the flint stick and take the whole summer, and that's the only way you do it. And you will get good at it quickly. Hey everyone, allow me to interrupt myself. I don't really like hawking merchandise and swag, but you guys do ask all the time where you can get certain items. For example, check this out, Hennessy hammock. I put a lot of time and effort into designing this hammock with Hennessy. It's their top hammock. It's an amazing, beautiful, comfortable hammock to enjoy for all of your adventures out there, so just check it out. It's got a full-size tarp, which was a big thing for me. It's got insulation, and I love it. So I've got the Hennessy hammocks. Of course, for years I've been in a phenomenal relationship with Hella of Norway, Hella Knives. And this is our signature knife, of course, the Tamagami. These knives are handmade. In fact, I've been there to this very ancient factory where I don't know how many, it's well over 100 years that they've been operating, and every single handle is handmade. All of the grinding, everything is done by hand. And these knives are absolutely beautiful. I also now have a brand new relationship, and you will see these items, new forging tools that I'm designing with LT Wright Knives out of Ohio. And also, Chef Paul Rogalski of Wild Harvest has the signature Chef Paul Rogalski kitchen knife collection. Those are a big thrill to me, to have these beautiful items that we spent years designing, and I still have them available for you. However, if you want to go more the route of just enjoying the Survivorman legacy, if you will, then of course, go to my website, lestroud.ca, go to the shop page. Right there, you've got everything. All the swag, all the merch, such as my manual on survival. This is if you want to get into survival. This book is meant to be a way to walk you through step by step, because I deal a lot more with concepts than I do with specifics, because that's really important. Once you understand the concepts of fire by friction, for example, you can do it depending on where you are, because I can't give you the advice on how to do it here in Canada and hope that it's also going to work down in the jungle. Things are different. So I've always been very proud of this book, Survive. So that is my survival manual. Also, if you weren't aware, I've got the book Will to Live. I wrote this book well, it's kind of for a lot of fun. I took my 10 favorite survival stories, such as Chris McCandless Into the Wild or the Robertson family and the life raft, and I basically dissect them with this book. I tear apart the story, I go through everything, and I even give them a little bit of a grade on how I thought they did. So I really enjoyed writing this book. It's a real easy read, it's a fast read, but I think there's a lot of insight there for you into all of these different examples of people who have either survived or perished. Speaking of books, so honored, so thrilled, so proud that Wild Outside, my first children's book, has won the Yellow Cedar Award, Best Nonfiction Children's Book in Canada for ages 7 to 14. I tell stories from Survivorman, lessons learned during those expeditions and adventures, and there are even activities they can do in the out of doors. So there you go. My new book, my children's book, Wild Outside, Around the World with Survivorman, has just won the Yellow Seat Award, and I'm up for another award yet. And in keeping with stuff that's going on right now, we are also up for an award for our Season 1 recipe book from the series Wild Harvest. And if you've never caught the series Wild Harvest, check this out.
Hey, Les.
Gotta watch some whales.
Oh my gosh.
This perhaps is the most incredible kitchen scenario I've ever had.
Can you create a dish where the domestic ingredients don't overshadow the wild ingredients?
This dish is a showcase of how great these foraged ingredients come together.
It's the best when it's its own flavor. When you're making something with a wild edible, you're nailing it and not losing the wild flavor. Tell me that doesn't look awesome. 2 seasons right now, 26 episodes. In the United States, it's on PBS stations. You can also get it on this YouTube channel. In Canada, Cottage Life TV. In Sweden and Norway, on Matt Canalan. It's on National Geographic. Asia, which includes China and India. So my Wild Harvest series is playing around the world now, and we, with every single season, create a recipe book based on the recipes that we show you in the actual shows themselves. So that's Wild Harvest. And of course, if you want the DVD, you can get that on this website as well, lesstroud.ca. And let's not forget too, that I'm a musician. The CDs themselves are available on the website. The next release will be the re-release of the Mother Earth album on vinyl. But go on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you listen to music, or on my website. You can go to the shop page, you can pick up all of my CDs. This is the last one. This is my 20th anniversary selection. Check it out. Every film I've ever made, 76 films in all of the Survivorman, Bigfoot, Beyond Survival, music documentaries, one-off films such as the award-winning Lalache about the school shooting up in Canada and a healing canoe trip. This is my 20th anniversary, 76 films. And people that have picked this up have raved about it. And I'm really proud that I can say I've got 20 years of anything, to be honest with you. That's available for you as well on that Les Stroud shop page. Okay, that's me hawking my stuff. Back to the video.
That went really nicely. Okay, that's good to know. Can't get your fire started? Use some rum.
As the day draws to its end, the search and rescue team is unsuccessful in finding me. This won't sit well with them.
Să coborâm un pic măcar, adică ideea este că de acolo, de pe partea aia.
This would be a real difficult thing if you weren't sure if anybody was looking for you. Can't imagine how that would play on the mind.
Barry was always good about, back it up to that split screen there, Luke. Barry was always good about the split screen thing. It was that wasn't necessarily a new invention or anything like that when it comes to editing, but we found it to be a very effective editing device for Survivorman, was to, in certain times, certain scenes, to do the split screen so you could see what was going on. And me often shooting with 3 and 4 cameras at the same time certainly enabled that as well.
Sit and wait. I've got my fire lit now, which for me, this is kind of early for lighting a fire. I would normally wait till it gets a little bit darker so firewood supply lasts longer. But just sitting here, doing nothing hour after hour, my body is just chilling down. I can feel it coming through the ground. Fire's made a huge difference. Now this is where the point of rationing plays itself.
Fire is everything, everyone. Fire is everything. What's the number one thing you should take into the woods with you for any kind of specific survival thing you might have to go through? A way to get a fire going. That will always be my number one. Close to 35 years, I guess now, of survival plus. And you can take away everything, just don't take away my ability to get a fire going, because that is always going to be key. I don't care if you're in the hot desert or certainly in the cold, fire will always be the number one thing. So that is the first skill to get really good at. Not shelters, not trapping or snares or bow and arrow hunting or any of that stuff. Nope, the ability to get a fire going anywhere, anytime.
Itself out. If I had rationed the food that I had, I would have some jerky or some energy bar.
Looks like I should have asked Icebreaker to to sponsor me, eh? They got lucky on this one.
To nibble on right now, but I didn't. Thinking and believing like a hiker who's just lost for a day that it's okay, I'm gonna be out tonight. I can eat this now. I ate everything up. If I could have one of those pieces of beef jerky, would make all the world a difference here. But I don't, and that's because I didn't ration. I suppose I could chew on grass.
The captain of the SAR team knows the reality of a lost person. The longer it takes to locate me, the worse the odds get at finding me at all. None of them want a black mark on their record.
Baza de Pitești 2, sunt gata.
Baza de echipa 4, recepție.
And when you stop after not finding somebody on a mission for the day, you go to bed thinking, are they going to live through this night? I didn't find them. Will I find them tomorrow, but they'll be dead? And if I'd found them today, maybe I would have found them alive. That weighs on your head, your brain, your mind. Huge kudos to the camera crew here. Peter Estevez, Andrew Shepard, and of course Max Atwood. I think Laura Bombier was there as well. They were everywhere filming these teams because we had the dog teams, the ATV teams, the on-foot teams, and often in search and rescue there's so much more too. There's mounted teams on horses, there's the aerial squad, the drones, and even water rescue and dive team. So yeah, my camera crew on this, I mean, they worked their butts off getting amazing footage of the search and rescue mission.
I love the search and rescue episodes. I mean, when I remember when our first one was with you and Bob in Temagami. I thought that was an awesome episode. It had a really great edge to it. It was real fun to do because you can do a lot of really fast, action-packed editing, which is super fun. It's almost like a chase scene in a movie. And the other thing, it was because it was actually happening. It wasn't like, okay, cut, roll back the helicopter for take 2. I mean, what you got is what you got. You know, in Sierra Nevada, Andy got you flashing the helicopter. You could see your mirror flicker on. So you had all these little elements to put together as, you know, your story with the dogs coming after you, helicopters chasing you. It was super fun. I really enjoyed it. We all had a good time doing those.
There's an overhanging big dead tree there. If I dragged my butt and all my possibles down there, I'll bet you I could...
Who knows where that one comes from? All my possibles. I don't think I want to tell you. Somebody posted in there, where's the line from, where's that word, my possibles? What movie does that come from?
Drape the tarp over it and create a bit of a tent. I'm gonna do this. Good thing I'm going downhill. My leg was really broken. This may or may not be possible. The other good thing about this is I'm now at the top of a hill. So if searchers are coming for me, I don't have so much of a sound buffer anymore by being back up there. Maybe I'll be able to hear something. Well, if I take my time, this might be doable. Oh. Comes on the rain. It's not perfect.
And therein lies the advantage of having a rain poncho rather than a rain jacket.
But who says you can't build a shelter with a broken leg? Now, to bring the fire down.
I'm doing my best to imitate a broken leg and not allowing any use of it at all, including if I stand up and hop on one leg.
All right, now I've got fire and shelter, all ostensibly with a broken leg.
Tonight, the captain has received my second GPS text message, this time with the coordinates of where I left the unit strapped to the tree.
He might be down on this ridge. We're gonna go with all the dusters. We're gonna have the helicopters, ATVs, and we'll check all the forestry roads. And I think that concentrating here, we should find him tomorrow.
All right, well, I think I've come up with another way to stay a little bit warm tonight, other than keeping the fire going, obviously. I've had to take the splint off to do this, though. Now, I know it looks a little silly, but believe it or not, it's incredible how much warmer my feet will be in the backpack like this throughout the night. If your feet are warm, it goes a long way towards keeping the rest of you warm. So this is it. Sun's down past the mountains now. It'll be getting dark soon. It doesn't look like it because the camera tends to illuminate the surroundings. It's a little darker for me right now. This is it for the night. It's actually fairly comfortable.
Which is an oddball situation. You generally have to be prepared to be incredibly uncomfortable. You're going to go practice some survival, just deal with it. Suck it up. You're going to be uncomfortable. So you learn how to sleep in uncomfortable situations is an advantage for survival.
The camera never does justice to how dark it is, how wet it is, how cold it is, or how steep a hill might be. But those who trek in the wild have a pretty good idea how tough an ordeal can become. The search and rescue team has gathered and is ready to head out full of adrenaline. For now, they have something much better than just a text message. They have 24-hour-old GPS coordinates sent out from my GPS unit, strapped to a tree down the hill from where I am actually surviving.
Just tightening up the tarp a bit here. I think sometimes I don't show knots enough. So I want to show this one to you. This one is when you've got a long line and you're going around a pole or a tree or something like that, and you're coming back, and I was like, well, where do I tie this off? Do you tie it off at the tree? Well, sometimes that's a real pain because the tree's full of, scratchy, pokey branches everywhere, and you can't really reach in, so you can get around it, but going in and tying off there is a pain. So if you've got a long rope and you come back out on the rope itself, you can tie, like right here, and believe it or not, it'll be secure. Just go over, and then I'm going to go over 1, 2, 3 more times. So I went over, and then I went 1, 2, 3, like that, through. The last time, you, instead of just looping through that one line, you go all the way around, poke down through, okay, and pull forward. Now when you do it, what I like to do is take my fingers and just make sure all those little loops I made look nice and round, so that they got a real nice look to them, okay? So now I can actually pull this line and slide this knot to make this nice and taut, okay? And that holds it like that. I like to then lock it off. To do that, real simple. You know your normal square knot? Just make a square knot, like one knot at the end. That's all, just one knot at the end, and then down. And that actually locks it in place. I can constantly move this and tighten it if I need to. There you go. There's a good survival knot for you right there.
And I forget what it's called. I call it actually the Bill Mason knot, or the Mason knot, because Bill Mason, who's he's passed now, but he's a very famous Canadian canoeing enthusiast and award-winning filmmaker with the National Film Board of Canada. He was, and he became a hero of mine. In fact, without Bill Mason, I don't know that there would ever be a Survivorman, because watching him do his films in nature very much inspired me to do my films, much more than, say, Warren Miller. No, it was more Jacques Cousteau, Tarzan movies, and Bill Mason films. If you want to experience one of the greatest films you'll ever watch, if you like nature, watch a film called Water Walker. Water Walker. Very simple documentary of a solo canoeist going in Northern Ontario, but what a great, you know what, I'll probably watch it tonight, because usually every year in February, I'll watch Water Walker. Just to remind me that the spring is coming and the summer's coming and I want to get back out in a canoe. Yeah, Bill Mason, Water Walker, and that's the Bill Mason knot, and it's very handy. I use it constantly when I'm camping. And a quick little list down the movies you should watch. Jeremiah Johnson, of course, Water Walker, Never Cry Wolf. Those are three amazing ones. I would add to that, now a modern one I would add to that is Walter Mitty, the Ben Stiller film. Fantastic. And if you want just fun, the other favorite of mine is, I watched it just the other night. These are films I'll watch likely once a year, just because. The other one is Kelly's Heroes. Great Clint Eastwood movie. Love that. Usually after that, I'm inspired to watch Unforgiven as well. So these are phenomenal films, in my opinion, to watch. And then when I'm in the music mode, I always watch the John Denver Wildlife Concert once a year. 20 Feet from Stardom once a year, sometimes twice. Sound of My Voice, the Linda Ronstadt documentary. Mind-blowing. These are great documentary films. Beyond the Lighted Stage, Rush. If you're Canadian and you love music, that's a must-watch. I'll watch that once a year. Once in a while, I'll throw on Pearl Jam 20. I wasn't a big Pearl Jam fan. I was a Bill Mason fan when Pearl Jam was doing its thing. That's another whole long story, but I was gone in a canoe when grunge happened. I didn't even want to know. Didn't care about Guns N' Roses or Nirvana or Pearl Jam or Sound. I didn't care. I was like, don't care, don't want to listen, don't care. I'm in a canoe, I'm done. So it was a different era of my life. But I'm digressing quite a lot here. Should we get back to the film? And The Last Waltz.
Look at that. Sometimes the obvious escapes you when you're out in a situation like this and your mind's not clear, and all of a sudden you look and say, oh, look at that there. Okay, that's useful. Well, breakfast. These little spruce buds are tasty at this stage. Especially tasty when it's been a few days without food. It's just that tiny little end right there. You can't see it. It's the new growth. Sometimes they taste a little bit like turpentine. That's where it comes from. Other times they're sweet. Gotta find the sweet ones. Oh, I'm getting full.
For those of you who, let's go back on that actually for 1 second. Let's just go back there. Hang on, I'm gonna rewind it, and Luke will stop it right where it should be stopped. Right there. Sometimes I wonder about you guys. Not you, just the other person over there watching. I'll see posts, and people just, over the years, it cracks me up when the odd idiot doesn't get when I'm just being sarcastic or a smart ass. I'm a Canadian, and that's part and parcel of being a man who grew up in Canada in the 70s as a teenager, being a smart ass, utilizing sarcasm. It's just inbred within us. And so on Survivorman, it was all about the not the twinkle in my eye, but the smirk, just little like, okay, and if I'm saying something, here's the thing. I don't want to insult your intelligence. I'm expecting you to get it. I'm expecting you to pick up on it. And I loved that part of the filmmaking. I loved the writing. I won for Best Writer twice for the Canadian Screen Awards for Survivorman and Beyond Survival episodes. I'm very proud of that because the writing in this, which included the way I acted on camera, yes, some acting, was all about portraying this story well for you. And I always really enjoyed that. And for the odd person who didn't get it, well, you just didn't get it. But not you, because I know you get it.
Stranding myself on purpose with a broken leg, I'm somewhere down in the middle of this wilderness, waiting for search and rescue to locate me.
Well, I've been out of water for a while now, and I don't feel too dehydrated, but I think I'm gonna head down and fill up my canteen anyway. This isn't gonna be easy. Oh, that's what I gotta watch. A friend of mine was lost in the Amazon jungle, slid down like that, and ready for this? Impaled his anus.
That was Yossi Ginsburg. Got to read that book. I never did see the movie. Daniel Radcliffe, I think, plays him in the movie. I met Yossi. I think it was 19 Days Lost in the Amazon Jungle. Yeah, he was sliding down a mudslide and he impaled his anus. Ugh, even saying that. Especially since I had a colonoscopy this morning. That's just too close to home.
Ouch, yeah. My thoughts too. This is gonna work. I've made it. There. That's what I'm talking about. Haha. Success. That's a lot of work for a drink of water. Let's look and see if there's anything here that's edible. And I found something right here. Look at that. Haha. One of my favorites too. Yellow wood sorrel. Oh, wow. Oh, such a burst of flavor. I hate to admit it, but one of my favorite candies is sweet tarts. And that always reminds me of eating sweet tarts, only that's the healthy version. Oh, here we go. There's something right here. Strawberry. There's no berries. What I can do is I can pick these, make strawberry tea.
The real moral of this story here is that when you change your environment, even only by 40 feet, you are in a new ecosystem and there will be something else growing. And certainly when you get around water, water is always like a transitional stage. There's going to be different plants growing when you get close to water. And generally speaking, that's where the wild edibles are, closer to water.
In this area then, already wood sorrel, more spruce buds on the way down, strawberry right here. Let's see, looking for young ferns. Oh, there we go. Now, when these are curled into fiddleheads, they're much better. But they're edible right now. This is the difference between being in a spot that's dry, or once you get near water, everything comes to life. All right, this is good. If I can get a couple of mugs of this into me now, take one up with me, boil up some strawberry tea, then overall I'm hydrated enough for the day because I'm not eating much food. Okay. And so not much to digest. It's hard to say if I had a torn ACL or busted leg, what kind of pain I might be in, but assuming that I can drag myself around, then there still are things I can do even within a circle of an area. I say all this, of course I haven't gone back up yet and I have to go up here now.
I mean, it's not that far. I don't know, it's just 25 feet or something like that, but ostensibly with a broken leg, the inability to move other than being on your butt, that's 25 feet's a long ways.
No matter what, in a situation like this, you're always going to be dealing with shock and stress. And, you know, I've just sort of volunteered my left leg in the cause here. But realistically, I wouldn't be able to do too much. Probably just what I've done is just about it. Yesterday, I was able to get this roof up and get a fire going. Today, I'm able to cook some strawberry tea, eat a few greens, and get myself filled with water.
That's enough. So I think I will just sit this out now and see what happens later today.
As I effectively survive with a broken leg, the Salvamont team is on high energy, deploying all of its units to the area with my last GPS coordinates.
Let's just go back there for a second, right from the helicopter here, and I'll show you something. That's Max Atwood. I always talk about Max as the shooter. He wasn't the only shooter, but he did an awful lot of in-the-field shooting with me. He's now a super pro shooter. He doesn't have time to shoot for me anymore, which is always sad, but he's an amazing cameraman, and he's off shooting, doing a lot of documentaries for all kinds of different networks and up to the Arctic and so on. But Max, there's Max, was a young lad with his long hair, heading off in the helicopter. Boy, when you became a shooter for me, you got to go in helicopters over jungles and mountains all the time. I mean, pretty sweet gig.
As I effectively survive with a broken leg, the Salvamont team is on high energy, deploying all of its units to the area with my last GPS coordinates. But I'm still a needle in a haystack. They really now only have the right haystack.
There's enough sun patches close to where I am with this little camp set up that I can get to the blue sky and get the sun on me, both to keep me warm, but also if the chopper's searching for me, I can do this. Now all this is just one of these little flexible mirrors that I put in my survival kit. What I can do is to actually take my fingers like this and I line it up so that, like that. You see, so what I'm doing right now is I'm aiming it through my fingers. And so if you were the airplane, my sights, which are my fingers, set on you, and then I try to flash through like that, and there you go. That's how it works. Now the downside to that is simply that the helicopter has to show up in this portion of the sky for me to be able to flash him. If he doesn't, too many trees.
And that's a real important aspect of these different survival techniques. So easy when you read them in a book, you know, that you can just do this or just do that. And it's just not the case. You can't just do this or just do that. In this situation, I've got this one spot that I could flash a helicopter through. So they have to be looking through that spot. And the odds against that are pretty strong. So that's the truism with a lot of techniques taught in varying survival books, is that when you get out there for real, the variables can do you in and render this technique completely useless.
And probably won't see a thing. Here we go. We got a chopper coming by. Let's see if I can signal him. It's flying real low. Try this now. Where are they? There they are. Oh, that's not so easy. The chances of them seeing me in here just seem so slim. I mean, look what they've got to see me through. You know, I've only got that one hole in the trees there to signal them through. It becomes a matter of chance. And hopefully their due diligence on spotting you. Here's a big difference. I can't just run out into the opening because I'm stuck with this broken leg. If I were truly in a situation where my leg was busted, this would be it. I'd have to kind of stay right here in this open spot and try and flash them, which is what I'm trying to do. To get to a more open area, it's just not going to happen. There have been thousands of helicopter searches throughout the world that come up empty-handed and fly right over top of the lost victims. Okay, here they come again. That's it. Doesn't seem like they're coming back. I don't think I'll be flashing anybody today. Wow, it just feels so trapped. I can't imagine what it must be like when you're in a situation just like this, where you're immobile, you can't move, and rescue is going by, and there's nothing you can do about it. It must be horrifying to watch them fly away and realize that they haven't seen you.
It's 2 full days into the search and rescue team's inability to find me. My only hope now is that they're at least getting close.
They were right here, went right by me. But where did they go, and why aren't they still searching this spot? However, the sheer fact that they're looking in this area means that the GPS satellite device got its message out. They're looking where they're supposed to be looking.
Having coordinates does not mean guaranteed success, especially since I left the unit strapped to a tree far below me. But it should lead them in the right direction if they find it, or the orange bandana.
Okay. So guys, I just got an info with the GPS coordinates, and it might be here under Mândra Peak. Okay. Let's go.
This is no setup for TV. These rescuers have no idea where I am out here, and their desire to find me is as intense as it gets.
Spruce bough.
Just from a filmmaking perspective here, one of the great things for me as a producer and as a survivalist guy is when I did the search and rescue ones, or when I did the fan episode, and coming up soon on a director's commentary, the one I did with the Kone family based out of Oregon, where I had 2 people with me. The advantage is huge in filmmaking. I know there's a lot of guys on YouTube now and doing these survival stuff on YouTube. It's pretty funny when you think that I started it in the year 2001, and there's people on YouTube today who are kind of like just doing the exact same thing. Of course, many of them are eating food and using good equipment, but they know now how hard it is to do it alone. But when you have all this other stuff going on as a filmmaker, it's amazing. Because I could go back to, to Canada with all of this footage, knowing I got a ton of great search and rescue footage. So if I was weak on my footage, I know there's a bunch of great footage on that story that's going to work very well into the whole picture. Same thing when I did the fan episode with Joe McConnell. I knew that he was also filming, and that just took pressure. I guess what I'm saying is that battery just died. That's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that okay, I'm back. Let's keep watching.
Laying right here. I'm gonna go down, and then next time I hear the sound of the chopper, I'm gonna put it on the fire and hopefully make a bit of smoke. All right, wish I'd thought of that sooner. Make the fire smokier.
See what I said there? Wish I'd thought of that sooner. Why didn't I make a smoky fire when the helicopter was in the air? Didn't think of it. Just didn't think of it. And that's another reality. So many times, it's so easy to be what do they call it? An armchair coach. It's so easy to criticize. Armchair critic, I guess. Criticize when you watch certain true real survival situations. And mine, manufactured though it is as close as I can get it to be real. You just don't think of things. Sometimes the obvious is staring you in the face. You don't see it. You don't think it. You've gone 4 days without food, 7 days without food, 10 days without food, very little water. You're tired, exhausted, hungry, cold, scared, wet. You don't think of things. And I didn't think when the helicopter was in the air, because I was so focused on the mirror, I didn't think to make my fire smoky.
Then wait here in the sun. Maybe they'll spot that. Uh-oh. See, now it's flaming up already. As soon as I get hot flames, it just kills the smoke. That's the trick of a signal fire.
If it's not smoky, it's not a real signal.
Well, let's see if the ground crew can get to the same area and start hollering for me, and maybe notice that bandana.
One of the advantages, though, of the fire, no matter what, is the smell of it. Something not to be minimized is searchers can, if they start smelling smoke, they know perhaps they're getting close to you if you happen to have a fire. Because you can smell smoke from quite a long ways away, but it can lead you in. You just kind of be like a dog and follow that scent.
I left tide and the orange garbage bags on the trees and the blaze. That's what they're going to have to go by now, since there was not a successful sighting by the chopper. That's disappointing.
Okay, it's good.
Okay, I'm starting to hear some sounds. I thought I heard some calling out and like a horn blowing. So maybe there's a search going on foot right now. Huh, and now nothing. Make some more smoke. Now I really wish I had that whistle, the other whistle, because it's just it's a very obvious sound. My whistle could be mistaken for a bird off in the distance. Ah, that hurt my ear.
According with the GPS, the coordinates are somewhere here, not more than 100, 200 meters. So what we have to do is to spread along the forestry road about 10, 15 meters from each other and to begin to search the area up.
Out here, any lost victim could simply be behind a few rocks, maybe even unconscious. So every nook and cranny must be explored if they're going to be successful.
Tale pe aici, la deal.
So I heard a slight ATV motor. I heard a horn blowing, but it didn't sound like a car horn. It sounded like the kind of horn that you hear at at a hockey game.
This is actually, as a survival instructor, again, being out there, this is part of the most fascinating moments for me in the search and rescue situation is the things you start to hear when they're looking for you. It's so distant, which is why it's so important to do the call-outs. And we on our missions, we do regular call-outs where we all stop and we do a big call-out, and 15, 20 minutes later, stop, do a big call-out. Because the lost victim can hear that, but sometimes it's very, very faint. But it gives them a chance to get excited, that maybe know that you're coming and to respond. They might be laying there doing nothing, but they hear something faint. It's going to spur them to respond.
Uh-oh, now the horn sounds more distant. That's not a good sign. So I'm just gonna maintain the immobility, just stuck here. I can't really go to them. It's a long way down to get to the road, so I'm putting the emphasis on them to find me.
Unde strigați careva?
Just heard another. Oh! It's got to be hard.
See, you can hear them yelling really loud because the camera's capturing them do that. But I'm far enough away that it's really faint. And that's the reality of what's going on in a search and rescue mission.
For them to locate me simply because of echoes and all the trees, I'm quite a ways up, so. Oh! Here!
Nu, toată lumea așteaptă pentru că se pare că
That's the search team.
avem răspuns la chestia. Hai, duceți-vă la deal. Duceți-vă la deal și vedeți, duceți-vă toți patru.
My adrenaline always gets going even just watching these, because it's like, I remember this moment. Boy, it's like when Bob and I were being searched for by, if you want to watch all of the search and rescue ones, there's Bob and I in Temagami being found by the police, actually, volunteer search and rescue in Ontario. Your adrenaline is just, it gets zany. You get so excited. Same thing with in Sierra Nevada. Then there's here in Romania. I'm not sure if I did another one or not. I guess I'll find out when I keep checking out my 20th anniversary film collection of every Survivorman I ever did, or Bigfoot, or Beyond Survival, and music documentaries and so on. When I check this out, I might see if there is another search and rescue I did. You can order that on my website, by the way. But I digress.
So the technology, the GPS satellite technology has worked. It's sent them to where I am. This team has not been given clues other than they got the message from the GPS satellite tracker. And they've zoned right in on me. That's fantastic. Simply fantastic. You guys are sights for sore eyes.
Are you okay?
Well,
That's what I see.
the leg, but I'm okay. I'm good.
Search and rescue teams around the world are a serious bunch. These guys have not been told that my broken leg is just a setup.
Yeah, so they actually think, and our, the English and Romanian language, it's broken language between us. So these guys took my leg seriously. I thought, I'm just not going to tell them and let them take it seriously.
So they don't even break a smile, for their job will not be done until they know that I'm safe. And I won't deny them that proper end. When we make mistakes out here, there are guardian angels to help us through, pick us up when we fall, get us home safely. They don't have wings or halos. They ride horses, drive ATVs, fly choppers and planes, and push hard on foot through thick bush and in dangerous wild areas with little to no rest until they complete their mission. And what do we call these guardians of all us wilderness adventures? Well, here in Romania, they're called Salvamont, search and rescue.
Yeah, just love doing the search and rescue missions. So there you go, guys. There's yet another director's commentary under our belts. And once again, my very healthful public service announcement: get your colonoscopy, do that preventative medicine like I did this morning. And since I'm still kind of a little bit loopy from the ketamine that they gave to me when I did that, I think I'm going to go get myself a nice glass of red and watch Bill Mason's Water Walker on this blustery February, end of February day in Canada. Thanks for joining me, guys. More to come. Lots more. I'll see you soon.